best case scenario, due to mind-bogglingly gross incompetence, let's say, like literally to a level that's hard to imagine you could be this incompetent, but a rooftop less than 200 yards away from where the president was speaking, there was allowed to occupy a 20-something-year-old with a rifle who had been walking around scoping out the area for like an hour, while many people were warning the local police and the Secret Service that there's a guy up there with a gun. This was allowed to happen. And the fact that there weren't resignations the next day are wild. So essentially what happened was that this lady Cheatle went and testified before Congress yesterday, essentially refused to answer any questions, but insisted that she was the best one for the job. It was a very Joe Biden-esque thing. Insisted she's the best one. She's not going anywhere. She's the best person to still run the Secret Service. The next day, she ain't running the Secret Service anymore.
I mean, she was so bad, and that she even made AOC look good. So if you just want to understand the benchmark of how terrible she was, it was astonishing even prior to that interview watching her lie. She went to like the Fauci school where every time I hear her talk, I'm like, how did you guys, this is Fauci. Hey, we made the right decision at the time when we didn't put the person, when we didn't include that in the parameters. No, we weren't wrong. Even though our strategy failed and the president was shot at, we weren't wrong because we're the experts and we evaluated that you didn't need someone there. And sure, it didn't work and you can still trust us, even though we made the wrong decision because it was actually the right decision when we made it. And even in this hearing, the way that she's lying, where she goes, well, we didn't decline a request on that day. And then she wouldn't. And then, when there was a request for additional security, sure, we said no, but we didn't really say no because we tried to take other measures to improve their security. So it's inaccurate to say that we had declined the request. It was incredible to watch her absolutely refuse to answer. I'm here to try and add transparency to answer all your questions. No, I can't answer that one, but I would like to be able to give you all the information that you need. I can't answer that one, but I'm here to answer your questions. It was an incredible display from a politician of just being willing to sit in the pocket and just absolutely refuse. And I mean, literally on both sides of the aisle, the Democrats who were trying to pin this on, hey, do you think we have to get rid of AR-15s? They couldn't even get straight answers out of her, so they were getting frustrated because they weren't able to spin their story. And literally everyone just gave her a hard time for, you're subpoenaed to be here. Why don't you have any of the information for us to review this? It was surprising. I don't even know why she showed up to then. I think they probably wanted her there for the cover-up, and she showed up to that meeting, and they realized, oh, we're going to need to put someone else in here.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a few clips from that hearing just to prove that Rob is not exaggerating. If you haven't seen it, it was that bad. Here, let's go to the first one.
My first question: both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter? Yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question. Yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible.
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was this a colossal failure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Have you provided?
You should pause it for a second because it's already. I'm sorry. It's just so funny to just go. Was this a colossal failure? I go. It was a failure, and then she's like, she almost just got into like bickering about the semantics of colossal or not, and you're like, lady, it's colossal. Like, what do you? This is the biggest job of the Secret Service. What do you mean? How can this not be? Like, what? She's like, no, he got shot in the ear. It wasn't our best day, but it wasn't our worst. It's like, lady, this is the biggest failure by definition. The biggest failure that the Secret Service can have is having someone get a clear headshot at the president, and then they just happen to miss. But like, yes, no, colossal failure seems like a good descriptor. All right, let's keep going.
We're addressing our policy about slopes. It appears that maybe we were misguided in our approach to slopes.
All right, let's keep playing.
Yes or
I
no?
will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th? Yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest. Mr. My first question.
Well, there's one feisty Republican lady there. But yeah, I mean, look, what can you say aside from like again, she's just, I actually kind of like how she goes, that's a no, you know, because she's like, well, you can, I'll refer you to the record or something. It's like, yeah, no, you haven't. You haven't given them all the footage you have.
They even were holding her because she refused to give any specifics. And then they were asking, like, when she even addressed or had phone calls, and she really would not answer a single question. And I forgot who it was, but one person did a particularly excellent job of calling her out for, have you done zero preparation for this? How are you not able to answer any of these questions or recall any of this information?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was wild. She basically just went there to stonewall. And look, I mean, I suppose like maybe there is a little bit of a silver lining here, like a note of optimism is that as much as so many people do get away with that in DC without losing their jobs, this was just too big of a thing to have nothing to say. To have nothing to say for like how you could allow this to happen. That was even in DC, that was a bridge too far. Here, let's go to the next clip that we have.
That are happening in about 100 days. So the notion of a report coming out in 60 days when the threat environment is so high in the United States, irrespective of party, is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to understand that. This is not theater. This is not about jockeying. This is about the safety of some of the most highly targeted and valued targets internationally and domestically in the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any actionable decisions that would be made, is simply not acceptable. It has been 10 days since an assassination attempt on a former president of the United States, regardless of party. There need to be answers.
Yeah, you could kind of see on AOC's face that at one point, even she's like, I'm sounding smart right now. It's
Well,
like, this is new.
The better AOC clip was about the range on ARs, which off the top of my head, I think it's like, I don't know, something like in the 400 range. I'm sorry. Our gun audience is going to be furious. How do you not know this? But it was a pretty simple question of why was there a rooftop within range of what an AR can do, which is one of the most popular and easily accessible guns in this country. So how can you possibly say that a rooftop with a clear view of where the president is that's been in range of a readily accessible rifle didn't need to be secured? And you know, the fact that even AOC is able to come up with gun facts that are that simple was pretty astonishing.
Well, look, I mean, I think what we're left with here is, and I think this is very reasonable to say, I'm not like jumping to some wild conspiracy here, but this was such a, what was the word she used? Colossal failure in the first clip. This was such a monumental failure that at the very least, the first question that needs to be answered is like, how the hell did you guys let this happen? Because it does, you know, there's so many implications that come off of that. And I think a lot of people don't want this to be the obvious. You know what I mean? And it's like, look, tell me this is something other than what it looks like. You know, it's like always like in those movies or whatever, when someone gets caught in like a precarious situation and they're like, this isn't what it looks like. I can explain. You know what I mean? And then it's kind of like, okay, well, explain. How the hell did you possibly end up in this situation? And, you know, oftentimes in the movies, there is an explanation. But, you know, it's like, it's almost like the Secret Service is sitting there going, this isn't what it looks like. I can explain. And you're like, okay, explain. And then they're like, I'll refer you to the record. And you're like, wait a minute. No. You got to be able to explain. Like, wait, how did this happen? You know, like in the movies where it'll be something like, no, it's like this chick in a bikini got thrown into my room, like a wave hitter, and she got thrown into my room and landed in my bed. But I swear, like, it's not what it looks like. It was something else. But you're like, okay, Secret Service, if you're telling me this isn't what it looks like, then I'm going to need the explanation. And they're offering you no explanation. It's very hard to not go from that to go, whoa, so I guess this is just what it looks like. Or what it looks like is that you allowed this to happen. That's what it's looking like to a whole lot of people. And you're not doing much to convince us you didn't.